But let's not skip over what you just said. He does not have to explain. And I think one of the lessons that I take away from Elon, especially like now being in this next phase of like, you know, my founder journey, et cetera, is the difference between speaking and statements and questions, right? Like when he's saying something, he don't leave no room for questions, even if he may be wrong, and he'll admit that he's wrong, or he may not be 100% confident, but you could tell when somebody isn't moving with the kind of bravado of like, nah, this shit happen, and it's more of when will it happen. And I think that's something to learn from.
Yeah.
1, 2, 3, 4.
Yo, guys, what's up? What's up? Welcome back to another week. This week went by fast as hell for me. I can't believe it's Thursday already. I feel like it just started. It went by real quick. What about you? How was that week, man?
I mean, I'll say my week personally was great. But what I will say is I need LA to get back, like back to LA. Like it's kind of been a little cloudy.
In terms of weather, or what do you mean?
Yeah, yes. LA is connected to the weather, man. The vibe's connected to the weather. So the weather not how LA is, you know what I'm saying? The vibe also not either. You know, you feel me? Kind of like with COVID, but no, it's just like cloud. It'd be cloudy and shit. Like I don't know what's
Somebody
going on.
said it was snowing. Somebody said it was snowing in Santa Monica.
It was snowing in Santa Monica. No, bro.
Really?
I seen the video, bro.
Yeah, I saw it on video, but these days you never know.
You don't believe it?
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. That's real.
And my man's work at Snap, so he got the filters. Man, I don't know if you can trust it. You know what I'm saying?
I know.
Did you see snow?
I'll be real, bro. Okay, here's the problem with LA. I can't confirm or deny whether it was snow in Santa Monica because I'm in COVID right now.
That's true.
And the thing here's the thing: you go 1 mile somewhere in LA, it'd be like different. So I don't know. Especially for example, Santa Monica be different than the Valley. Like the Valley be so hot, bro.
Yeah. It used to be hot out there where I used to live in Glendale. But yeah, what's up with you, Brylan? How's your week been, man?
Nah, it's been good, man. And so I ended up talking to one of my old heads over the weekend, man, and the nigga just woke my eyes up in terms of like just health, man. So I had to go get my vitamins, get back on my health kick, mental focus, and make sure I'm taking care of my body, man. And then I've been juicing every morning, man. And so just doing the little things, and obviously,
wait, what's your juicing recipe? Like, what are you juicing? Because I just got a juicer, and I have not used it at all.
Hey, man, for all the listeners, if you do not have a juicer, go get one. Go get one. I actually recommend that you spend a little bit of money on it. It'll definitely be worth it. But my juice is very simple, man. So it's 4 celery stalks. I put, two full organic carrots in it. I also put a half a lemon in it. I put either apple or mango or strawberries, any type of fruit really to just kind of sweeten it up. And then I put just a small piece of ginger in it as well, just to kind of, really wake you up as well.
Ginger's my thing. I do a ginger shot every. I try to do as much ginger as possible. Yeah, like every day.
See, I'm just getting hip, man. And then last night I was going down the whole rabbit hole around the ring. You was telling us about that tracks to sleep and all that.
Oh, the Oura ring. Yeah, I just got my brother one. I just got my brother one, low key.
It's a great product. Fantastic product. Yeah.
So
highly recommend it.
Yeah, we gotta take care of our health, man.
100%. Well, you know what? Did you get an Oura ring? Did you get one? Or
I'm in the discovery phase right now of the purchase.
Bro. It's look. Hold me to it. Hold me to it. Hold listener. Everybody, hold me to it. Brylan, I'm going to gift you an Oura ring. I literally have gifted so many people Oura rings. It was a big step for me in my health, in my sleep. And I'm actually proud to say, I had one of the best nights of sleep last night as evidence through my Oura ring, so I'm going to give you an Oura ring. All you got to do is tell me the color. That's it. But yeah, I feel like I should be a spokesman for Oura ring.
No, you definitely should. You should be an ambassador.
You should be an ambassador. He needs the affiliate revenue, man.
For real.
I should. I mean, don't get me started. Because I'll take the podcast all the way off track.
You put me on it. You put me on it. Yeah, we ain't gonna go there, but you put me on it. It's doing incredible. And honestly, sleep data was like one area of data in my life that I just didn't have any insight into.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like when you're eating, you can kind of track things. You kind of know what you're eating. You can, if you choose not to look at it, that's one thing. But it is there. You know what I'm saying? You go work out, you can track that. Is there, right? Like you have this data, but sleep was like a black box. It's like 8 hours of my life. Like what the hell is happening during that time? So definitely highly recommend the herb.
Yes, 100%. Yeah, and but, you quickly realize how connected it is to how you feel. So it's a good one.
Yeah, let's talk. Let's switch gears real quick. Let's talk about Ja. Like we were just talking about right before we started. He's obviously been in the news, and obviously we're not a sports podcast, so we you know we're not here to like break down sports or anything like that. However, we are a business podcast, and unfortunately, some of the actions that Ja has taken have some business implications to him, and so we're really interested in like those business implications. But let's first start with the behavior. What's going on with my man's Ja? He been in the news for not some good stuff. Obviously, they're out of the playoffs right now, so really nobody should be talking about the Memphis Grizzlies right now. But
they shouldn't. They really shouldn't actually. Yeah, like was taking the focus away. Brylan, actually, go ahead, Brylan. I think you can.
It's actually crazy because
what's going on.
I can speak to it a little bit. But what is crazy was I remember when I hopped on Twitter, this was probably like an hour or so before ESPN and Bleacher Report started tweeting about it. I saw that video and I was like, well, shit, this is about to take social.
You saw the video?
Oh, you saw the video? Yeah.
I did too. Yes.
Because you know, if you following the hood, the hood Twitter accounts, you know, they have it before. But our man Ja, you know, he was listening to, you know, NBA YoungBoy, who makes really good music, to say the least. But homie got caught waving another gun in the video, and I think it's led to him being suspended from all activities with the Memphis Grizzlies. And then obviously I think it's led to some intangible things like people not trusting him and calling his past apologies and, you know, things of that nature insincere. And I think, you know, it potentially could have some deeper ramifications. I think Adam Silver said they're considering, you know, serious punishments. And so, yeah, there's the NBA side of the business, you know, at the league level, there's the team level business as well, but also the sponsorships as well. You know, we know he has some pretty big endorsements and things of that nature. And I think, you know, he signed a contract.
He had Powerade, like big endorsements.
Yeah. Big. He got a shoe too.
Yeah, had an exclusive shoe. I think he saw that. It's still up. No, it's still up on the Nike website
today, bro.
No, I saw, bro. I literally.
That's not what they said, though.
Wait, the page was up there.
Everything. Maybe
the page was.
Okay, gotcha. All I'm saying is this: they. Okay, cool. I mean, I didn't go double
check it. Have we heard like an official? But have we heard an official statement from Nike though? Because I feel like the internet. The internet can start some chatter, but we haven't heard like any Nike executives or anybody come out and say like.
The way I took it, yeah, you're right. It could be just like because right now there's a lot being said. I will say I don't get the impression that Nike has like cut ties. Maybe they might want to slow down some stuff. That's what I got the impression of. Like, okay, let's slow this down a little bit.
Like delay the launch.
Delay a little bit. Talk around. Like, see how to handle this. You know. And I'll just go into it, I guess, because I mean, this is a 23-year-old, you know, young man. He's not like he's not. You know, he's an adult without a doubt, and he definitely knows better. He knows right from wrong. It's, you know, so I think that people do want to give him an opportunity to figure things out. People do want to do that. I think what's going on here though is that he got an opportunity. He got an opportunity to clean things up a little bit, and then I think where it's surprising everyone is we just heard this story from you like 2 seconds ago, to the point where it kind of almost seemed like, you know, I've heard Shannon Sharp, I've heard, you know, all these other guys, you know, Skip. It seemed like almost like something that we already saw before, but it actually was something new. So he's making the same exact mistake again after sitting down with the commissioner. mind you, the commissioner of the NBA. This is not a role that anybody just gets. This person is the diplomat for the league that manages multi-billions and has multi-billion-dollar owners, and then also millions of people tune in. You know, he has a hard job already as it is. I don't think Ja fully recognizes what that means in regards to the responsibility. So, for example, if I'm Adam Silver, right? I don't know what day this happens, but look, if I'm Adam Silver, I already have a million things to worry about. I do not want to wake up on a Sunday morning, like with my wife, and I'm looking at my phone blowing up because like trying to figure like Ja did what again? Like that's just making my life harder. And it's making the team's lives harder, making the NBA's life harder. They have a lot of people that they have to make happy. Ja's not the only one. And I think that he's not fully grasping that, or he doesn't care. But I think it's not. I really think that it's hard for us to imagine he doesn't care. It's hard to really truly imagine he doesn't care. It just seems more like an ignorant, just seems more like a lack of perspective, at least from my perspective. But he may have to learn the hard way because now Adam Silver is in a tough spot because Ja, he sat down, came back out, and said, "This is what the punishment is." Didn't do the full extent of it, and then now you're kind of almost embarrassing him. You're embarrassing him, and then not only that, his job is people need to respect him as the commissioner. And you know he can't just allow things to slide and happen. That otherwise you'll see more young players thinking, "Oh, well, that's all I get is a slap on the wrist." We can't have that type of. It needs to be like serious. So he's kind of setting himself up in a position where don't make Adam Silver make an example out of you. You know, don't set yourself up for that. But he kind of is already doing that.
The crazy thing about this situation is because the other flip side of this as well is he technically, like objectively, he did nothing wrong because in Tennessee, he's rather if he has a permit or not, he's allowed to be able to carry that weapon openly or concealed, et cetera, et cetera. So that's his right. Where I do think the NBA has a very interesting dynamic compared to the NFL or any other sports league, right? Where I think hip hop culture and just it just bleeds in a lot more, right? And I think you've seen that over the last few, probably going all the way back to Allen Iverson, when you started to see it bleed into the fashion and things of that nature. But now I even think about the lifestyles that these players are living, right? And we can't sit here and act like Ja is an anomaly. He may be an anomaly in terms of being caught on camera, but we have to be realistic about that. And so I think it's just it is a tough spot to be in, just because he is this superstar athlete, damn near up there with the LeBrons of the world in terms of the expectations that have kind of been set with him. He's getting super duper paid, has the shoe deal, basically is up next to be the face of the league. And so it really is just coming down to that's the tricky part, because if he was a musician, these record labels wouldn't be saying shit about this. Go ahead and keep doing what you're doing. But
that's because in those cases we're buying into the character of a rapper and what that is. It's not, the NBA is not paying ball players to do all the other stuff that rappers are doing. Like the NBA,
they're not paying them to sell a lifestyle.
Yeah,
your lifestyle isn't the product.
At least not that lifestyle. So when you say he didn't do anything wrong, he didn't do anything criminally wrong, right? So I think there's a fine line between criminally wrong. No, he didn't do anything criminal, right? There's nothing criminal that he did. But what he did do that was wrong is he is misrepresenting the NBA brand.
Yes.
Because every time he is visible in public, anything he says, anything that he does is a representation of the brand of the NBA. That's the position that he is elected to take. Now, again, I'm not judging the lifestyle or whatever. I could care less. My whole thing is just don't record it. You know what I'm saying? It's just as simple as that.
So is it his fault or the homie's fault?
No, it's his fault because he should set the. No, it's his fault because he's the leader. He's the leader. Is he the leader?
It falls on him.
He's the leader. It's simple as that. It falls on his shoulder. Ain't nobody doing nothing around him that Ja don't enable. Period. Like it just don't happen like that. And if it does, then he don't understand his position, and that's a whole different thing.
Well, part of the issue is that he doesn't understand his position. I don't know who around. He doesn't understand it, and the people around him don't understand it. It's like everybody fumbling the bag because of that. And it's not even just about the bag. It's also just like the influence, the image.
Like they 22. Like, 22, 23 years old. Like
we all get it. We all get it. We all get it. We all get it.
Nobody at that age was like really like. But I get that too though. Because. That's the generation that he's from, bro. Like when I was in middle school, like we had phones, but like camera, like you wasn't recording as you didn't grow up recording your whole life. Like we did not grow up recording our whole childhood. We just did. But the generation that's coming up behind us, they have grown up like that, where everything in their life is recorded.
So do you think half a season is too much, or full season is too much? What do you think then about that? Like, do you like?
I think whatever. Because the question is how big.
Whatever it is.
I think whatever the consequences are, he should just accept what it is, and it is what it is. It's hard to say what's too far, right? Because at the end of the day, I mean, it's not up. He made a choice, and it's up to the business and the organization to decide. So hey, whatever it may be, I highly doubt it's going to be the whole season or anything like that. It's not like he shot.
The whole season is crazy,
or he was shooting a gun in the air. Like that'd be crazy.
Me, the whole season part is crazy, but the thing is that because of the attention to it, it's not out of the realm of possibility, and that's why it's kind of like a little scary a little bit. I don't think he should sit down for a full season. I don't think he should sit down for a half a season, but I do think he, yeah. So
I'm gonna keep it a stack. It depends because my man is getting 194 million, and so guaranteed. And
why does that matter? Why how much money? I'm just asking an objective question here, which is why do everybody keep emphasizing how much money this man is getting? Like, why does that have to do anything to do with his actions? If he was getting 300,000, should he be held at a different standard in the NBA? Like, why does how much money he getting?
The reason why it matters is the 194 is the incentive, and literally whatever the punishment is to dissuade him from continuing to do that again. And so if I'm literally just getting suspended for a few games or half a season or whatever, like I'm still weighing my like the cost and the benefits outweigh it. Versus, are you saying because the contract is guaranteed, he's not going to learn? Is that what you're saying? Yes, he's not going to learn because it's versus like I'm gonna keep it a stack. Hit that nigga in his pockets.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, his pockets already been hit though because he didn't make the first team NBA. The first NBA team or something like that, and he lost out. So because of that, he wasn't eligible for a Supermax contract, which meant he lost I think it was 30 or 40 million. Like he has lost
he's losing money right now.
But hold up, it's already hitting his pockets.
Hold up,
he's losing a lot of money.
Yeah, so it hit his pockets based off his play. Now it should hit his pockets based off his character. Like,
I see what you're saying. I mean, look, I'm just asking a question because ESPN keep emphasizing that as well. Oh, he's making this much money, and I'm just like, regardless of how much money he's making, that doesn't even matter. If he was making $10 million, it doesn't even matter.
Right.
Like, should we be more concerned? Right. But honestly, should we be more concerned about what he's actually doing, the state of his mental health, the state of who he is as a person?
We gonna call it mental health, whatever. But Dre, let's put it like this: if you had 194 million, you were in the shoes of Ja, and we came back and there was some crazy clause in the contract because we don't even know that, and it was like, you know what, bud? That's going to cost you 94 million. You're still going to get 100 million. How you going to feel?
Sick, man.
Yeah.
I'm sick. That's a lot.
You ain't going hold up. You ain't going to keep that nigga that recorded you around. You going to start thinking differently.
Yeah. Well, I guess it's all about what we are incentivized by, right? Clearly, Ja is not incentivized by all the money that we think he is, because if he was, you would think he'd be moving different. You don't think he know how much money is on the line? Like, so money is not necessarily the incentive that everybody is like snap in place and just do because, hey, it's money. I mean, this nigga's done made a ton of money. Look at Jeffrey Epstein. He done made a ton of money. Look at the crazy life that he lived.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying? Like, there's tons of people that make a ton of money and still do dark and crazy stuff. So
it's true.
I get that, but like money is not necessarily the thing that moves everybody. And that's why I'm saying that everybody keep emphasizing how much money. There's something bigger there beyond the money. It's like yeah, he can just act right. But my man's a stuff firm. Yeah, he may be acting right in front of the camera, but even beyond the camera, like, what's going on with him? Because obviously something's not right there.
Something's off. So something's not off. Something.
I feel like it's too easy to say something is off. So this is a grown ass man.
No.
This type of grown ass man. I know something's off with him for sure.
He's still getting consequences though. We're not. No, I know he's saying don't have the consequences, but like it's still like trying to understand the cause and effect of it. Like you're like something not right when everybody can see something don't make sense. Like something not right there. You know what I'm saying? Like and that's
plus, I'm not diagnosing him. I'm not diagnosing him. I'm just saying something's not right. Whatever it is, right? Maybe it's how he feels, what the people around him, the people who he enabled. It could be his parents, whatever it is. Just something appears to not be right. Maybe it's not. Who knows?
I'm a call it. My nigga was he was on the AAU team. I'm pretty sure he played on the AAU team with my man Zion, and we never heard about that. Zion went to Duke. He went to Murray State. I'm gonna call it what it is. I think my nigga Ja. It would not be surprising if Ja had like battled a lot of insecurity, and despite him being in the position in which he's in now, like he's good at basketball. Yeah, he's overcompensating in other ways.
Yeah, I can see. But wouldn't you agree though that mean something's wrong though, right? Like would you?
Yeah, go
because insecurity is a drive person to do a lot of stuff, right?
Yes,
yeah, that's true.
But if I'm Adam Silver or the owner of Memphis, we gonna get you some help, but we also gonna hit them pockets. So
that's facts.
Business is business.
Speaking of business and speaking of pockets, let's talk about Paul George real quick. Let's switch gears.
Paul Judge.
What did I say? Paul George.
We're in the sports mode.
I'm thinking basketball. I was watching the video about him earlier too. Yeah. Paul Judge. Paul Judge. My bad. So first off, SoftBank just there was an article that somebody popped in the group chat. I don't know who popped it in there, but somebody popped it in there. And anyway, SoftBank basically launched a second fund under their opportunity fund that they have. And the hope is to invest about $150 million into Black and Latino led startups. And Paul Judge will be the fund's chairman. And in my understanding from reading that article is that he was already a part of the investment committee for the opportunity fund. So he was already kind of doing some work in the background in terms of approving like what investments they actually make, how capital gets deployed. So this is their second fund. Again, it aims to I guess the first fund they put $100 million into 75 Black-led and Latino funds. Companies, including Greenwood, Career Karma. They actually invested in Playverses as well, and Squire. So there's a few founders from the list that they've actually backed that we know personally. So they've definitely done some effective investments. Whether or not those turned out good, who knows? But they have 7 exits so far from that first fund, and 5 unicorns. So sound like it might be doing some interesting things there. And the fund will be split between early stage and late stage, or growth stage, I should say. So yeah, what do you guys think about that? We were having a conversation earlier about whether or not these funds that market themselves as black led or Latino led, whether or not they're actually effective, or whether or not they're using those tags as a fundraising tactic to get capital from LPs. And we had some interesting opinion in our group chat about that.
Yeah, for sure. Well, I think it's a complex thing. I think there's multiple angles, there's multiple nuances, and even as I'm like thinking through some of these things, I think I'm gonna do my best to like touch on them. But essentially, like, I do think there has been a lot of funds that will position them for specific minorities, whether it's Black, Latinx, women, or anything. Like they'll position themselves that way, and sometimes that is a strategy, and it works and especially during certain times when there's a lot of narratives around things like just things that affect our community, like George Floyd, things of that nature. Those are especially the times when a lot of companies will, a lot of those firms will get more capital, and so I think it is a part of the strategy. It's hard to tell you which firms do that or don't do that. But what I would say though is that this is what I want to speak to. I want to speak to this feeling of, or me observing or seemingly observing this idea that essentially these funds are going to solve the problem. And I think the problem for the way I see it, as far as venture capital and the fact that we get less than 1% of venture dollars, I think a big part of it is access. And when I think about the things like the Opportunity Fund, I do see founders, and I do see founders that I recognize, founders that I know, founders that we've worked with, and that's great. But I see a lot more people who are also very talented, very also Black, all these other things. And I'm not saying it's the job of these people to discover all the Black talent and then bring them up. I'm not saying that at all. But what I am saying is that some of these people don't have the same access, and they're not as accessible as they're being positioned to be. Because from my perspective, a lot of these, like the accessibility doesn't seem to be aligned with the message, because and maybe that's my expectation that I'm projecting onto other people, but my expectation is that if you're focusing on Black funds or Black founders, then you need to almost be scout-like, meaning going further down and finding people way earlier, even to the point maybe even discovering them at companies before they even leave their companies. How many Black founders do we know that have the corporate jobs? They're brilliant people. They're brilliant. They could be founders. We all would love to see them. And a lot of these guys that I've seen that are extremely talented are not necessarily getting the access, and they're not being seen, and they're being overlooked. And they don't necessarily have the resources, for example, or afforded some of the opportunities that I've taken, or some of us on here have taken. It's just a lot of risk, for example. And so I don't know. I guess I'm happy ultimately at the end of the day for any Black funds to be getting any money. And I'm also not overly, I would say, critical. I'm just trying to observe, but I do think accessibility is a big part. Some of these people that are running these funds, for example, I don't have an access problem right now because of a lot of moves that I've made through networking, through overtime working. We've been doing this for a decade and have built up credibility and all that. But I see people who even I would say are smarter than me, more talented than me, etc., who are also Black, for example, and they could not get a meeting with some of these people. They could not talk to these people. And then so that from that perspective, it seems like they're no different from other investors in that regard. So it's almost like they'll come in when every other investor comes in. And so they're just pretty much the same as all investors, as opposed to, I'm thinking that if you are for Black founders, then you might need to go past the point of when everybody else goes in and going down a little bit further. But maybe that's like an expectation that I came up with. But yeah.
No. What you are hitting on is very important.
I think it is important. Go ahead, Brylan. But I think that's a big expectation, though. I do think that's a really big one. Not saying it's, it is what it is, but I think that is a really big expectation. But hey, maybe they should be held to that standard. Brylan, go ahead. I want to hear your thoughts.
Yeah, no, I think Rodney summed it up really well. Like my key concern when I see things like this is access, and similar to what Rodney was saying, I have a little bit different spin on it. Is I'm looking at it from the media, the story being portrayed to the media.
Sure.
I like when it is coming from the white folks that, you know, or these companies that black funds are being put together, there's a little bit more grace given there because they don't understand the nuances of black identity and black circumstances. But if you are coming from the culture, you are one with the culture, and you are walking with the people, you know it is very disingenuous to box everybody who is a part of the culture into this just black label, right? And I think that's my problem with like seeing something like this, because if you don't know and you're not really in the loop and you're reading this, like your excitement and dopamine is probably going crazy right now. But guess what? If you ain't at Martha Vineyard, you know, running around in these circles, we all know how this game works. You're not getting that conversation.
Still the same game. Still the same game. Still the same game.
Exactly. It just got a different picture.
Yeah.
Two questions I have.
Go ahead, Dre. After Dre, I want to share. Okay, there's an anecdote that I want to say too. So I have a very diverse cap table. I have probably predominantly black investors, like wealth angels, but also people who run their own funds and firms. But we'll take money from anybody though. Doesn't matter, long as we like can align with them. And I would say that it actually was difficult for me to actually, I don't know why I felt like there was less leeway with black firms for some reason. Like
leeway in terms of what?
Like it just seemed like there was more doubt. And I actually expected the opposite. And maybe that is something that I shouldn't have done. But for example, my thought was, if I'm dying to get a lead black investor, I would have thought that as somebody who has the background, the credibility, and the skill, I've been engineering for how long? I've worked at top companies. I know people in the industry. I would have thought that some of these black funds who have black fund managers would have not waited to invest until after a larger institutional or traditionally white institution invested. And that was like, to me, that was like, oh, that was kind of like, oh, okay, like it's still the same game. It's still the same game. I still need to get.
They need daddy's approval.
I still need to get the top tier firm to be taken serious by my like that's how it. But it may not be. I feel like this. I don't take it personal because I don't take it personal. But
was there any correlation between those sentiments and like the fund size?
In what way?
Like, say for example, like a smaller fund, right? I assume because they have less capital to invest. I could see a perspective where it's like they do really want to make sure that they're being thoughtful and deliberate and intentional about where they're placing that capital versus a fund that may have over 100 million. If that's how they move in, okay.
But even a fund with 100 million, but even $100 million fund though, they only invested in 75 companies. Like, think about how many companies you got to talk to even weed through to get to 75 good solid investments. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot. I mean, honestly, it's a lot. Like you're talking to a lot of people to get to. That's just 75 investments. I've invested in another fund. It's like a $20 million fund. They're only going to do 30 investments. This is over the course of multiple years. 30 companies. That's it. They're not necessarily just focused on black-led businesses, but generally speaking, like a lot of these funds are not investing in hundreds of companies a year. I mean, we should just set that expectation there, because I don't know if that's like a false narrative.
100%.
Even when you have $100 million fund, as you see, they're not doing 100 deals a year.
100%.
No, that might be a misconception. Like, and we honestly might need to do a whole podcast just breaking down like the structure of these funds and how, you know, founders should be thinking about that.
I think we should, because I can see why those narratives out there will have somebody feeling some type of way, get somebody excited. But again, like you said, Brylan, the marketing changes, right? But the internal game is still the same. At the end of the day, a Black fund is still responsible for the same financial responsibility as a white fund, which is to return a fiduciary responsibility to manage that capital well, deploy it well, and return it at a higher than above average multiple to its investors. That's the duty of a black fund, and so the responsibility doesn't change just because the marketing changes. And so I just think, a lot of times they're not educated on that. They don't know that. But moving on from that, I do have a question though, because we brought up access. And so while I do think that is like a very important thing, what responsibility do you guys think Black founders like ourselves have in terms of opening up access, right? Because look, we're not the Black founders that seem to have an access problem, right? Like we do have a network, we do know people. What responsibility is there, I guess, across the ecosystem to help?
100%.
Because I don't think it's just on the VCs. I think it's it comes from people like us who have been able to break through it.
So I can't what I want to say is I'll speak to what I feel like, how I took the responsibility of, like, and I do feel a responsibility. And actually, I think all of us on this chat feel that responsibility. We have a chat full of Black founders when we meet bi-weekly. There's to talk about our experience, to also talk about strategies, to also connect each other and help each other. And so I think that and also, if there's anybody in those in those group discussions or just friends of friends of those things, offering the intro, connecting the dots, I do think those are at least that's I think is my responsibility. But I can't I don't want to put what I believe is responsibilities on other people. But what I can tell you I do is I definitely am accessible. I'm not inaccessible. You can go to my website. We have getsafeapp.com. Just put Rodney at getsafeapp.com. You can email me. I will reach out to you. I'll take a meeting with almost anybody that wants to take a meeting. I'm not available 24/7. Most of my calendar is pretty booked out. But you can easily schedule a 15-minute meeting. It's very easy. And I'm not saying just do it. But the point is that I make myself accessible. And I also try to hear what people are trying to do and just naturally put it, just listen, and a lot of times when I just listen, things will come up to me and I can say, hey, you should meet this person, or maybe I can't have a person for them to meet, but I might be like, that's a dope idea. Have you thought about this? Just I try to help where I can. And, but I am proactive about it because I have felt a certain type of way of people who I see do it a different way where they don't feel like it's the responsibility. I have seen that. I've been on the other side where I'm like, man, this person could have these sense of people, or this person could have done something so simple, but they didn't. And you know what? I ultimately realized that they didn't owe me anything, and I had to just swallow that and keep moving forward. And like we just mentioned before, we have the access now. We're in the door, and I believe that nobody owes me anything, and I don't owe and vice versa. But I do, just because I remember what it was like, though. Just nobody people. I don't owe anybody anything, but it doesn't matter. I still remember not having as much access. I remember all the things that I had to do, the creative ways I had to put my foot into the door to get the access. And also the failure at first when we didn't have access. There was a time when me and Dre were in Detroit and had no access. We were looking at the game from 1,000 miles away. And so with that, the cost to get that access, then also subsequently, that costs us a startup, and also time to actually put work in at the ground floor of other startups. There was a lot that went into it. And there were multiple times along the way where there are people who could have helped but didn't help. But you know what? A lot of times too, the worst part too, just that a lot of people see in the journey is that people who could have helped didn't help, but you kept going, you kept persisting for it. Will turn them back around later when you don't no longer need the help. And, suddenly it's it's an open thing. But this is the nature of it. And so I do feel like there's a responsibility to help people out. You don't have to do everything. If you already have a hard job, but I think it's important.
What I do want to say to that is founders listening. My man Rodney just told y'all to reach out. reach out, because he's not capping. He's not capping. And so the thing that I would even add to that as well is like, there's a similar Rodney. I'm very available. I feel like anybody would tell you that. Like if you hit me up, however, I'm giving you the game. But I'm not going to sit here and bullshit you, man. Access is a privilege, man. And with that privilege, you got to earn it. Rather if you white, black, Mexican, whatever. We had to put in work in order to get to where we are. So I don't want to set the unrealistic expectation. If you reach out to me, just like, hey, because I've had people do that. Hey, can you introduce me to so-and-so?
Right.
No, let me, like, let's hop on the phone. I'm not going to sit here and say we need to build a relationship, because I understand that it's transactional. But I need to understand if the shit that you bring to the table makes sense. Yeah. And
your credibility is important for sure.
Yeah, and for me, I don't even think I necessarily look at it through the lens of credibility. I care about how you show up, not and not necessarily because that's a reflection of me. Like I could give I could care less about that, but it's like I would be doing a disservice to you, being someone that has showed up in these rooms and knowing if you show up one way, the outcome is going to be this, versus if you show up another way, it can literally make your dreams come true. Like shit. Exactly. It's the small things. And for me, I do better with people who are willing to take the game, apply the game, and then once they get in the game, they're ready to ball.
Yeah. No, well said. Well said.
They need more shots.
Yeah, I mean, I think all three of us are available for sure. I mean, look, we basically all started the founder chat together, right? For that purpose, right? To really help solve this, at least at the level that we could. And who knows what that will continue to grow into. I hope someday we can do like an in-person summit. That'd be dope to do like a nice, a nice in-person founder summit or something. I don't know. It got to be some lavish shit. You know, we bosses. We got to do it up.
Yeah.
We got to get the bread. We got to get the bread before we get there.
There'll be champagne.
Hey, y'all got some Detroit niggas on the podcast, so they're coming through with the white buffs and the fur coats. Most likely this gonna be a November. This gonna probably be an October, November thing.
Bro, we gotta do it.
I need the white ones. I got the wood grain. I got the brown. The wood grain. No, I'm gonna get my white ones though.
That's so funny. Switching.
But hold on, actually, real quick though. Hold on. I can put this up. Y'all can't see the Iron Man. I don't want y'all to see that. That's too much for y'all right now. But I do got the Detroit one. I got the Detroit one. I don't know if it's set the right way. Oh, my bad. This way. I got the Detroit one on right now.
Yeah.
Always repping.
That's crispy. I like that.
Appreciate it.
I like that. Speaking, all right. So switching gears real quick. Probably the last thing we'll cover. The Elon and humanoids, bro. Like it's been some interesting things happening. With robots this week. I guess Elon in general, like he announced a lot of exciting things with Tesla this past week, but he really emphasized like the future of what they're doing with robotics. In fact, he emphasized it to the point where he said that he believes everybody else is downplaying how big this opportunity is, and he estimates that everybody will want a personal humanoid robot. In fact, some people may want more than one. And if that's the case, if you thought about it similar to like iPhone devices or computers or, any other electronic that we are all much familiar with today, then, this is a big market where you're selling, probably 10 million units a year, potentially, 7 to 8 billion units total. Like big market.
Yeah.
Much bigger
when he mentioned that number, I feel like he was just talking about from a consumer standpoint and not necessarily from like an industrial manufacturing standpoint.
For sure.
Which is crazy because that number's crazy.
That means there's a lot more than he has. That's crazy.
Yeah, so I felt the same, and to his point, he felt like people are downplaying it. Again, whether or not it's true or not. But what I took away mostly, and we kind of talked about it in our chat, was Elon's confidence in his ability to like get people excited. Like everybody got so excited. None of us know how this plan will come into play. None of us know what this even means. What is a humanoid robot even useful for? Like, what will it actually do in my home? I can see the commercial application, right, in a factory or whatever. It's obvious there. It's already happening there. But why would I want two of these things, right? Like two of these things, for what? Like he doesn't even have to explain that. Like he's just getting everybody excited about this thing that may not even come into fruition. And so I just thought it was really exciting.
But let's not skip over what you just said. He does not have to explain. And I think one of the lessons that I take away from Elon, especially like now being in this next phase of like, you know, my founder journey, et cetera, is the difference between speaking in statements and questions, right? Like when he's saying something, he don't leave no room for questions, even if he may be wrong, and he'll admit that he's wrong, or he may not be 100% confident. But you could tell when somebody isn't moving with the kind of bravado of like, nah, this shit happening. It's more of when will it happen, and I think that's something to learn from.
Yeah. He kind of says stuff like in a way where like, no, obviously if you don't see that, like he kind of like it's kind of like he says it with a lot of confidence, where it's like, he also has said that he likes to I don't know if people should or should not do this. This is something that Elon does, but he said he bites off more than he can chew. And people have commented on that. We have commented on that. So he's very ambitious. He's very like, you know, and I think that's what, but I think a part of that strategy helps him. I think he understands something about people too, which is that like sometimes you kind of have to be, uh, big and bold to see like what people will kind of like do. And so for example, I know like who was the guy who was running the fire festival? Who's that I forgot that guy's name. But
Billy
McFarland,
yeah,
or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's Billy McFarland, right? But one thing that I watched an interview with him one time, my girlfriend, and one thing that I noticed about him was that he was under impossible scenarios on a daily. Like there were so many scenarios that they should not have overcame, and he admitted that. He was like, there were so many days we should not have been able to like go to the next day. Like there'll be times when he'll wake up and I guess like some promise he made, and you know, but by the end of the day he needs $2 million in the account. It's like how do you wake up as a founder thinking like I need to get 2 million, I got no choice, like, and then make it happen. And so he was like doing, him and his team were doing and accomplishing things that he couldn't even really imagine. The only reason why he was able to was because of how bold. Well, first of all, how bold his line was. You know what I'm saying? Like at some point, a future vision is it's a form of a lie, obviously, because it's a dream. It's just a future vision. It's not existing today. But those like painting those pictures that are very big, like in Elon's case, I can see how that creates still magical things that we still be like, okay, like we may not get every possible thing that Elon has popped up in his head and just be like, hey, we have to do this, but it's enough where it's like it's still impressive, and I think that's what excites people too. And then also I think sometimes his teams come up with things that he didn't even like really come up like think to do, but he created enough momentum and excitement towards a certain direction that maybe it popped up in the research and development. And then now, you know, he's basically like, hey, look at this. Like he's scatterbrained. I feel like every other week or every other quarter, like Elon's like, all right, what's over here? Like, okay, wait, look what's going on over here. Hey, hold on. Look what's going on Twitter. Oh, wait, look what's going on SpaceX. Like he has something big going on because there's a lot of progress is happening in his vision, in his orbit. So, but the robots is cool.
He seems really he seems really emotionally stable or like under control, given like just how much stuff he got going on. Like even when I listen to his interviews, like he just seemed really chill, really matter of fact, or matter of his own fact, right? At least whether it's actual fact, but at least what he believes.
Have any of y'all ever read anything about like his managerial style, like outside of the tweets and stuff that we've seen when he like purchased Twitter and was firing people? Like, have y'all actually read about like how he actually delegates things? Oh, how was it?
I read his book. Incredible. I think it's like by Ashley Vance or something like that. Tesla, SpaceX, and something like the quest for the future, something like that on Amazon. He's having another book written by him, but that book in particular was very good, and it goes into very good detail across all his companies from the beginning. Actually, how he was just in the details. Like just very in the details, very in the weeds, somewhat of a micromanager, I guess you can call it that. But it was very well known. Even when he was doing his first company, Zip2, to when he went to PayPal or X and PayPal, and then Tesla. Like all of that. So yeah, that was my takeaway, at least from the book. Whether or not that's changed or how he has evolved, that book was written several years ago, so I'm sure he's changed, or maybe he's remained the same.
I love the book. Very inspiring book. Read it. I remember reading it at 22, and I was on the way to the BART station. I was walking to the BART station. I definitely was nowhere near the position I am now, but I remember it being very inspiring. As a young
you
guy.
probably was on the BART feeling like you was ready to take over the world after reading.
I did. I'm like a little speck. Like, I remember thinking like, man, I'm like this little guy who just got to the Bay Area, and looking at how it all played out. It's not surprising that those books, I would say they allow you to they give you the permission to think a lot bigger than you otherwise would. I think that's a good thing too. I think one thing also people should derive from Elon is that just like he doesn't ask for anybody's permission to think. I really think that people do get in the habit of not only their voice and their words and everything is policed, but they're also policing their behaviors, and they're already automatically policing their thoughts. So it prevents them from being able to just be like, hey, I believe that this can happen. And then somebody say, oh, no, it won't. But no, actually, my thought process brought me to that, and I'll just go do it. He's built up the confidence. It's dope to see. People could benefit off of being a little bit more competently arrogant, which would be like confidence, but you know what I'm trying to say.
I think that too, but I saw this Reddit. I was reading a subreddit last night actually, and it really now that we're talking about Elon, it really connected the dot to how he operates. And I heard the DoorDash founder say a similar thing. And this guy in the subreddit basically was like, businesses die because the CEO and executive teams decide to ignore the details, right? Whatever the details are, you gotta really dive into the details of whatever it is you're really working on. And solve those details and move on to the next detail. But you got to really operate like that. And the DoorDash founder, the way he sums it up, and it's actually one of their core principles, which is operate at the lowest level of detail. And my takeaway from reading Elon's book and just observing, him on Twitter and just reading a lot of the things that he puts out is that he is very involved in the details of his operation. Whether it's good or bad, everybody, everybody has a different opinion. Some people call it micromanaging, some people call it something else. But I do think that's a trait that he possesses that I think really makes him stand out from a lot of CEOs, a lot of founders that I've seen. Just the level of detail. There's levels to detail. Some founders and CEOs decide to operate at a high level. Sometimes I even do that. Sometimes I'm I don't even want to give a damn about that thing. Mm-hmm. But Elon seems to go so deep on every aspect of his business that I think he is speaking from a level of confidence. When he's speaking from a level of confidence, it's not just blind confidence. It's some of it I feel is actual confidence because he has a level of depth of information that the average person within the organization just single-handedly oftentimes doesn't hold. So I think his confidence is measured a little bit differently. His timeline is wrong sometimes. But I think his confidence is rooted in real information.
This is something I want to add too. Is when you're talking about confidence, it's about what you build that confidence on. And I think a lot of us move throughout this world, building our confidence on things that are subjective, things that are just very qualitative, and things that are just very, 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 easy to fool us. Where I think about some of the moves that Elon has made recently, rather if it was the decision behind saying, hey, we're charging for Twitter Blue. For the blue the blue check mark. Where we're charging for the API. We're gonna the whole thing with SpaceX and the rocket. People thought that stuff was absurd. If y'all remember that whole conversation, people were upset that the Twitter API was no longer free. But the thing I don't know how his brain works, but that just tells me that this man had a certain objectivity in terms of probably understanding the empirical evidence that sat in front of him in order to make those decisions with confidence. Just because think about this. we're now moving. Like we talk a lot about AI, but guess who ended up following a similar move to, Twitter, Reddit. And Reddit is not going to be the only person that's going to follow that move, especially as this conversation around data, et cetera, starts to pick up. So he low key was ahead of the curve. Guess who made $1 billion off of, charging for check marks? Instagram. But who did it? You know what I mean? Like the things that he does are absurd, but the influence that it carries has a lot of meaningful impact.
So, what's interesting about him? You brought up a good point. It's the objectivity part that allows them to be do simple things. They're
yes,
they're not,
very simple.
They're not difficult things. For example, think about this. I was talking to a colleague earlier, a friend more so than a colleague. Look, it's not crazy to charge for Twitter. Like, that's not a crazy concept. Yo, well, like people will laugh about the fact that, like, I can't believe this site is free. People were laughing about that for a decade. I can't believe this is free. Like laughing, just like we could have even, and like, so it should be no shock that they have added a plus plan, essentially. Like that should not be shocking. It costs a lot to keep that running. Also, businesses right now, I do not agree. I actually don't agree with the current pricing, but I do believe that thinking is simple. Hey, businesses, for example, a business might have 1 million followers. That business is generating a lot of value off of the back of Twitter, and they might pay for ads. They might. They might not, and so simple thing is like, okay, how do we get money out of these businesses? And that would just be to make a plan that businesses would want to pay for. For example, in the case of Save, we are a security business. We are a verification business. We'll go as far as we have a blue shield and a blue check mark. So yeah, having being verified on Twitter matters a lot more for our business. And for other businesses, they might have a different reason, but the point is that Twitter was creating value. So I think Elon came in, it's like, we're creating all this value for people and we're about to go bankrupt. Let's think that makes some sense right here. That makes no sense. So I think he just did some simple math. Hey, look, we are providing services that some people are benefiting off of, and we're not extracting our part of the value. And somebody was holding the bag, and at that point, it was going to fall probably on investors, because employees were there was an overload of employees that were getting paid, executives were getting paid, but it wasn't sustainable. So I think the objectivity part is a good thing. Being able to cut through and be able to focus, and like Dre was saying, I think the confidence comes just based on something. And that's kind of what I meant by the confidently arrogant thing. He's I'm only saying the arrogant part because I know how that kind of looks to people. And most of the time, if you get some random person talking like Elon, most of the time they are full of shit. So, but there are people though that actually do know, and they have some depth, and they're not just blowing smoke. And, this is one of these guys.
I wouldn't want to work for him, though. Trust me, you would not want to see an email pop in and watch some Elon. Imagine a Friday at 11 o'clock p.m. You see Elon pop up. Yeah. You can't just snooze it till Monday. You got to respond to that. You might not have a job. You got to respond back to that.
Especially if he's focused, especially if you're his current focus. My thing is, it's like he focuses on certain businesses.
He ain't going to let that go. He ain't going to let that go if you're his focus. He be responding back to customers on Twitter we're going to look into this immediately. Test it.
Yeah, he'll email his team. What is this?
I think that's a good summary, guys. You got anything else, or should we wrap it up?
Nah, I the last thing I'll just say, and we ain't got to go into a whole conversation on it, is I know we started this conversation with the robots. There's a lot more coming. AI is catching everybody by storm right now, and I think AI right now is a little bit overhyped. We already had that conversation, but what's not going to be overhyped is these damn robots that is coming. And now
what's the timeline?
I'm gonna be honest. I really don't even know the timeline because
less than 10 years. Less than 10. I can tell you that now.
That seems very reasonable. Just because think about it. You got people like Boston Dynamic that we didn't even get into them. People go look Boston Dynamic on YouTube if you haven't. You got the robot is the body. You got the large language model, which is the brain. Niggas just got to start connecting the dots and playing Legos.
They'll start being in homes. I'll give you the timeline right now. Look, people call me.
Hey, come on.
I'm gonna give you the timeline right now. Yo, 24 to 36 months. You'll see those first really expensive robots, and basically wealthy people and rich people will start to, like, hey, look at my robot. It'll be like a joke. It'll be kind of like a toy a little bit. You know, a status thing. Look at my robot. Like, you know what I'm saying? First person to have this. It will be like that, right? It 24 to 36 months. Okay. So then now at the 5-year mark, it will start to become more clear that this is something that wealthy people have, right? The next 5 years, that 5 to 10 years, that's when it's going to start. And by the year 10, I'm telling you, what is 2033? A lot of people will be taking loans out. There'll be robot loans. Like, it sounds crazy. It literally sounds crazy.
No, facts.
But they will not be personal loans. They'll be robot loans. Look, just like you have like your mortgages, it's just a loan, but it's just called a mortgage. You know what I'm saying? Like the same thing with car loans. Like they will have a specific 10 years. I promise you. Look, like, hold me to it. Look, first person to come and call me wrong, and look in 24, like, and by the end of 24 months, if I'm wrong, I'll give everybody on this podcast right now $1,000 cash, and that's nothing. So I might even say 2,000. So look, maybe even more depending on where. Like, come on, like, I'm telling you, 24 to 36 months, they will be in rich people's places, and they won't be like mad functional, but they'll be enough. Because look, you're just gonna start with a higher price. That's all they're gonna do. The bot can be like 60,000. Yeah, it can be like 60,000.
Everybody talking about government regulation. Everybody talking about government regulation for AI. They need to be talking about government regulation for these damn robots. Like, for real,
they can't focus.
That's more of a threat. That's more of a threat than the AI in the short term, at least.
Especially Elon. Actually, I don't know what's worse. Elon's look less trustworthy. But they're more stiff, though.
Facts.
You know what I'm saying? But the one that's like fluid, it looks more trustworthy, but it seems more dangerous, though. It's like they seem like.
I don't see Tesla producing like a commercial robot for at least 10 years. Like, whoever, maybe Boston Dynamic is. I'm not sure like where they are like commercially with their product, or if they even choose to focus on consumers yet. But just give it, like, we still waiting on the Roadster. Like, we still waiting, we still waiting on the semi truck. You know what I'm saying? Like, we still waiting on the Cybertruck. Like,
the truck is out. It's live. It's a product. It's live. It's in a while. I didn't see it personally.
It's a product backlog. A long product backlog right now. You talking about the semi truck? It just came out though, right?
Actually, no, I ain't seen the semi. I ain't seen the semi. I ain't see that.
Are you talking about the Cybertruck?
Yeah.
They delivering the Cybertruck already? It's been delivered.
Apparently, I saw it on Twitter, bro. I saw it on Twitter. I mean, I didn't see like a bunch of people, but I saw like a small amount of people. They was like on the street.
Well, we're gonna see, man. It's been a while. I mean, he announced it a long time ago. We'll see. Look, I think it's good. Look,
7 years.
I'm all for technology. I can see that. I can see 7 years. That feels fair.
Yeah.
All right. We'll see.
It's strange. I'm not gonna lie. I can't believe they came and dropped those videos of them walking in the office. Like, I don't know.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, y'all.
All right, y'all. Let's wrap it up.
1, 2.